Why do most of the people prefer to come work here in Qatar? This is most of the question that normally people ask. What is that specific in Qatar? Why Qatar always? Why Qatar is the in top line? This is the question that most of the members or most of the people, especially in Africa or in some part of Asia, they ask themselves, what is this in Qatar? Is different or is unique or Qatar has is different from other Middle East countries. Besides, so there are other countries like Saudi Arabia, Dubai, But why Qatar? Why most of the you find that even getting jobs in Qatar, it's very easy, and maybe you find most of the people compare working in Qatar compared to other Middle East countries. Now, here I have at least seven reasons why working here in Qatar is very preferable, and it's a very good environment as you compare to any other country. Now, this is MC Wamaji. If it's the first time to meet this video, please consider subscribing and sharing, and don't forget to like this video so that you can get any notification in case I post a new video. Now, here are several ways, and most of the time you find that people might really like to live in Qatar, and you know that the population has increased as well for the workers here in Middle East, especially in Qatar specifically, and you find that the Qatar has now increased the number, and it has able to market very well, and even people especially in Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Ghana have made like Qatar to be the home or where they can work fully, and even like other people have decided to live here uh, and renew their contracts now and then. Why? Number one is about transport. Transport is very cheap, very cheap. Moving from one area to the other, especially for the public vehicles, it's very cheap. There are other several means of transport like metro station, where you find that per trip, or you find that per trip you normally get around 2 riyal. That's around Kenya shillings. That's around 70 Kenya shillings. Yeah, 70 Kenya shillings. And doesn't matter wherever the distance you are going. You can now imagine if you go into the metro station, you just charged only 2 Qatar riyals. That is very cheap. If you are now working from point A to point B, and there is a metro line passing across that area, you can understand it very clearly and see how it is. So it is very easy for that. Number two is about food. Food is very cheap. Food is very cheap, especially for the people who are living near industrial area, or even near let me say generally wherever we are, or wherever they are, people working here or workers, food are very cheap. They are not much expensive, and you can find other people saying like kubus. Kubus are those baked bread. They can compare even 1 riyal for 10 pieces. You can imagine. So if you are like having a 1 riyal, you can eat and maybe survive very clearly, and maybe, yeah, you can survive. So food is very cheap. So number three is about industrialization. The Qatar has invested a lot in industrial companies, and as you know very well that here they manually refine things like gas and oil. So they have invested a lot in things concerning uh, industrial areas. So anything that is needed might be to be refined, pipes. They made the industry for the pipes, uh, motor vehicles or motorcycles. They have invested a lot, especially for the electric vehicles, and they have advanced a lot. They have advanced a lot. And you guess what? Here is where you will get expensive cars in the whole world. There's no country that will get more expensive car than here in Qatar, or most of the time in the Middle East, but specifically here in Qatar is where you will find the newest models. So they have invested a lot, and especially in the industrialization. Now you find that in those areas where they're investing a lot, there's also a chance for working and opportunities for the jobs that are generating now and then. Number four is about tourist attractions. Since 2010, Qatar has invested a lot. They have uh, modern what infrastructures that have attracted so many tourists. As you can see now, for example, there is what we call it modern. They have created things like modern roads, means of transport. They have what we call it hotels. They have invested in hotels and motels, and they are working very well. You see, like things like museum, they have invested in the modern ways so that it attracts more tourists. And the more it attracts more tourists, remember there are many people needed there for working. Yeah, there will be receptionist, there will be tourist guide, there are those who people will be employed as a maybe will be employed as you know for the Department of Transport. So they have invested a lot in modern infrastructure and have attracted so many people. Another things that we made it easier is about number five, that is populations of Arabs people are not much. They have few number of original Arabs, not those who have migrated here. For example, for those who have come from South Sudan, Saudi Arabia, but the original Arabs are not many. So you find that they hire more people because they need to develop their country very well. Though you find that there is more job opportunities that are needed, yeah, and they are generating every year. They are bringing more technology, especially in infrastructure, in industrialization, in food processing, and especially, for example, if you comes to transportation, like for example, if it comes to Qatar Airways, they have invested a lot. In fact, they are amongst the countries that have invested a lot in what in airlines. They have invested a lot in airlines. If it comes to things like airports, they have the best airports in the world. When it comes to things like uh, for example, Qatar Airways has been the best over the last 6 years. You can imagine the best over the last 6 years consecutively. Consecutively. This means every year they have won, and in fact, last year they won the best airport in the world. You can imagine. So they have tried to invest a lot. Wherever they target to invest, they invest a lot, and they ensure they create so many job opportunities when it comes to that area. Number three is about cheap flight. Yeah. So you find that people when maybe immigrating from here, for example, for the tourists, for those people who have come to invested here, they have made a crisis for every uh, level of every person. You find that if maybe for the workers who wanted to go for the vacations, there are very way you can connect with other airlines to get to pay a cheaper price as you compare to working with other countries. Yeah, I know airlines, it depends, but you find that they are providing the best, especially for the workers. And you find that if the company has decided to employ their workers here, you find that they are doing the best to ensure that they offer even sometimes free ticket for their workers. So you find that people can able to migrate easily and able to come and access working here. So another thing is about easy to access, especially for the freelancers. For those people who are applying for the freelancers, they are easily to get something we call it NOC. You can get NOC and get easily to get a freelancer visa, and you can work freely. Although in the time being, maybe they are planning maybe to make it as a free country, but they have advanced a lot. Those are at least 9 or 7 ways that have made that Qatar to be the best way. That's why you hear a job from Qatar and people are rushing it for it. Like, they are grabbing that opportunity a lot, and when work coming to work here, even though there are some, where there is positive, always there are other negative way, but you'll find that those are some of the things that make it easier for coming to work here. And you know what, things like accommodations are very provided and they are very fit, things like transport, I've talked about transport and all those things. So those are some of the things that make favorable environment to come and work here. Yeah. And also you find that also the currency, even though as you compare to the Middle East, I know there are other countries like Kuwait and Oman where the currency is very high, but you find that also Qatar is trying to fight its level best to ensure that it has maintained its currency to the best. So thank you for watching this video. This is MC Wamaji. If you have made this video, please consider subscribing as we look on more on the way how we can do better and encourage you and maybe educate you and able to choose the best place to work in. Thank you and see you in the next video.